Hello, everyone, and welcome in. We'll be starting in a few more minutes, so please feel free to grab food in the back and drinks if you're present in person. Thank you. Hello, everyone. We'll be starting here in 1 minute, so I encourage our Director of Finance candidates to take a podium. Please grab more food in the back. There's plenty of food, and take a seat. We'll be starting here shortly. Thank you. All right, let's each try and speak into the mic, and then I'll verify that it works. All right.
Check.
Okay, great.
Test. All right. Awesome.
And awesome. Fantastic. Thank you all for the patience with our troubleshooting. So now I'll go ahead and welcome you all to our 2025 Director of Finance debate and our Director of Student Technology Open Forum. My name is Melissa Lopez Barbosa, and I am the Elections Administration Committee Chair. Alongside myself, I also have one of my committee members here, Michael Anthony Ayosada, and he'll be our timekeeper for today. Now, who we're all here for, our Director of Finance candidates. On the podiums, we have Nicholas Duncan and Samuel Peña Rojas, here who are candidates for Director of Finance. Both of them filed before the filing deadline and will be officially ballot listed on our ballot during voting week next week. So now to our format for today's debate. We have a 1-minute opening statement and introduction by each candidate. Then we will be asking questions. The Elections Administration Committee has prepared questions for each candidate, and each candidate has received these questions prior to this debate. The candidates will have 2 minutes to answer each question, 1 minute to respond, and then 30 seconds for closing arguments. After that, we will be allowing questions from the audience for 10 minutes each. Audience members may ask questions to the candidate and may either write them out on a piece of paper provided to them or speak into the mic during the time allotted. Now, the rules for today's debate. Candidates' responses are limited to specific time limits, and candidates have been provided with these limits while preparing for the debate. The timekeeper will alert candidates that they have 30 seconds remaining. Candidates should adhere to all time guidance, and should they exceed their time, the moderator will ask them to finish their thought. Candidates should abide by all policies and procedures laid out in the elections packet provided to them. Candidates may use technology during the debate. They are able to take notes while another candidate is speaking. Candidates may not interrupt one another, and candidates may be asked to respond to the question if it's not answered directly. And now for this debate, I will now flip a coin to identify who will be going first. So now I'll go over with the candidates to verify the coin flip.
I'll take heads.
And the result was heads. So Nicholas will have the opportunity to answer the first question. The first question is, what steps will you take to increase financial transparency within ASUWT? You have 2 minutes to respond to this question. Your time starts now.
Perfect, thank you.
Question, real quick. Do we go over opening statements first? Or?
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
sorry
no
about
worries at
that.
all. You're all good.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yes, opening statements. Nicholas, you have the opportunity to open statements. This will just be alphabetical order. It does not have to do with a coin flip. You have 1 minute for your opening statement. Your time starts now.
All good. Hi, my name is Nicholas Duncan. I am running to be your next ASUWT Director of Finance. My goals for this campaign are very simple: to increase our financial transparency and to also increase our budget and our availability to help out our students in the upcoming future. While we have also opened up many doors with our lack of ability to spend money during COVID and our excess budget, I look to use that money and to increase funding in the future to help our students move forward in their professional goals as well as on campus.
Thank you. Samuel, you have 1 minute for your opening statement. Your time starts now.
Good afternoon, Huskies. I want to start off by thanking first off the EAC for making today possible and for the presence of you all for being able to be here. It really shows the impact and the commitment that you have for students. My name is Samuel Peña Rojas. I go by he, him. I'm currently a junior studying business finance, and I'm also minoring in business data analytics. And I would like to start off by saying that it is with great privilege and opportunity that I am campaigning and running for the ASUWT Director of Finance. Alongside my campaign, I'm also running under the Allied Students Initiative, a team focused on you through representing students, advancing current initiatives, and developing partnerships. A little bit more about myself. I have over 3 years of student leadership experience in higher education. I served as student government president at Pierce College and worked on many new initiatives such as financial literacy workshops, free breakfast during finals, and teaching high school students the importance of effective advocacy measures. I also have 3 years of budget planning, financial management, and financial analysis through my participation in the Services and Activities Fee Committee, both at UW-Tacoma and Pierce College. In this committee, I have served as the chair and allocating over $2 million of revenues each year with the consideration of maintaining strong fiscal responsibility, remaining fiscally solvent, and continuing to maximize student opportunities.
Thank you. And now for our first question from the Elections Administration Committee. Nicholas, you get the opportunity to answer this question first. What steps will you take to increase financial transparency within ASUWT?
Perfect. I think my first goal on this is to open just bigger conversations with the general student body about our conversations about our budget health. Similar to what I mentioned in my opening statement, our budget health is at a very great place right now. We haven't had to raise student activity fees over the last couple of years, and in the last 10 years, we only had to raise it $5. This big influx of cash that we're able to have has led us to be able to open doors to many of our students. With that being said, our rising costs are a concern. And I want us to be aware as a campus of what we face in the upcoming future. At some point, our revenue will outgrow and just not be able to keep up with the fees that we're incurring, whether that be through our RSOs, through our ASUWT like ourselves, or through any other type of events that the ASUWT and the campus itself chooses to put on. With that being said, I just want to put out general publications. While we're actionably, pushing this on our website, I think every student deserves to have a fair shot at being able to know, whether that be quarterly emails with budgets, whether that be yearly emails, whatever helps out with our candidates and with our students of making them able to know about what is presented to them as a student body. I think that's very important. On top of that, I think we need to push surveys. I think one of my very big campaign goals is just pushing general surveys, and whether that be, our survey involvement, similar to this room, is not always the highest. We want to push more students in the door, and with that comes, pushing that when they're filling out their applications, when they're coming in to pay their tuition every single quarter, that kind of stuff. I want to be able to figure out what students want to do with their money and how that money should be allocated.
Thank you. Samuel, you have the opportunity to respond to this question. You have 2 minutes to respond. What steps will you take to increase financial transparency within ASUWT? Your time starts now.
I would like to preface that the ASUWT operates under the Services and Activities Fee, which is funded by the Services and Activities Fee Committee. It is important to make this known and to make students aware of how and where their money is being spent and allocated. As a key value from ASI, transparency is essential in fostering trust and open communication between ASUWT and the student body. I'm committed to establishing a process that is clear, that is accessible, and that is understandable for all students. In a position like this one, as the Director of Finance, interpretation is key. Whether you are speaking with students, finance professionals, or administration, change is most often difficult unless your stakeholders know what you are presenting and what value you are presenting. Some of the current steps that I plan for increasing financial transparency within the ASUW team is to establish a monthly or quarterly budget update report, both during executive meetings and quarterly town hall meetings with the institution, to showcase how ASUWT has been looking at its financials and some of our plans moving forward. This will be essential in showcasing what and how we are currently doing, and to continue to develop partnerships with departments and organizations who seek to collaborate or have similar ideas so that your student dollars are managed with the utmost responsibility and provide the highest quality programming that there is.
Thank you. Nicholas, you have the opportunity to respond. You have 1 minute. Your time starts now.
No, I think very similar to what Sam and I both said. I think our forefront goal is being able to give that opportunity to students with the money that we have. Similar to, as Sam was saying, the money comes from the SAF, and the SAF fund is something that I look to increase over time, right? It's not something that can be jumped up immediately, but from this year to last year, and especially coming out of COVID, we have budget figures that have been dwindling, right? With lack of enrollment, with lack of ability to bring in those funds, our costs have only gone up and our activity fees has stayed the same.
Samuel, you have 1 minute to respond. Your time starts now.
I would like to, first off, thank you for being here and for being open, to have a debate and a discussion. I think it's great that we see the representation that we as students have and that we are committed to doing. One of the questions I had with regards to some of the things you mentioned earlier about the bigger conversations with, with assessing budget health or just talking about it in general, what are some of the strategies or some of the surveys or some of the plans and ideas that you have in place to ensure that that is taken upon and not necessarily something, a promise that is not fulfilled?
No, absolutely. I think that a lot of that comes with, what waste is being put into our government, right? There's always room to cut things, right? And that's not what we want to push, right? Nobody wants budget cuts. Our state is sitting at a $12 billion deficit right now, and nobody wants that. That's directly impacting us. And I think I just want to generally and just be able to push towards our students where we're able to find out those things that are not being taken full advantage of and be able to either A, take full advantage of them, or take back those resources until they are in a spot where they are able to get taken full advantage of.
Thank you.
Samuel, you have 30 seconds for closing arguments. Your time starts now.
I don't have any last closing arguments. Thank you.
Thank you. Samuel, you now have the opportunity to answer our second question first. How will you advocate for student financial needs in discussions with university administration? You have 2 minutes to respond. Your time starts now.
As mentioned previously, ASUWT operates under funds allocated from SAFC. It is important then that we establish data-driven solutions to relay both the administration and the SAFC regarding student financial needs and continue to represent those unmet needs and student concerns. I currently hold strong relationships with university administration, some of those individuals being Sylvia James, who is the Vice Chancellor for Finance and Administration, Joe Lawless, who is the Chief Strategy Officer, and Mentha Hines-Wilson, the Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs, and many additional great individuals that are working to support our students and have been doing amazing work. Regarding advocacy for financial needs and discussions with university administration, the current Director of Finance, who is also an ASI member, sits in the Budget Advisory Committee with several administration, staff, and faculty members advising the Chancellor of the allocation of resources, including new initiatives or topics with significant financial impact to the campus and overall budget. This is a great opportunity to continue to connect with administration and communicate and collaborate on solutions that are both specific, measurable, and realistic. In my position as the chair for the Services and Activities Fee Committee, I am currently in the process of working with our current ASUWT team to establish a memorandum of understanding between SAFC, ASUWT, and university administration. The MOU will ensure that projects regarding a student union building or a dedicated space will continue as planned and not deviate from its original purpose.
Thank you. Nicholas, you have the opportunity to respond. How will you advocate for student financial needs in discussions with university administration? You have 2 minutes. Your time starts now.
Absolutely. I think a lot of that comes from being able to get in the door with these administrators. I think this role provides a fantastic opportunity to already be exposed to those administrators. A lot of these administrators sit on councils that Sam or I will be a part of, and I think that gives us the perfect opportunity to bring up these issues. I think our first issue that we face is being able to find some of these issues. Such things as our campus food security. While it's going down over these past couple years, last year from 44% to 36%, 36% is not good enough. 36% of students not being able to know where their next meal is coming from is not something that should be acceptable from this campus or us as students and peers to one another. Being able to push forward initiatives like this, especially, and just voice the concerns with the current administration and our peers is something that I think should be absolutely on the forefront and something that should be heavily pushed by not only us as directors of finance, but by the entirety of the ASUWT. At the end of the day, I think a lot of this information needs to come in quantifiable form. And a lot of this comes from surveys, forms, and feedback that we're coming from students, whether that be the ASUWT and Director of Finance like ourselves, going out and finding that data, or whether that comes from administratively surveys. Either way, the data still gets taken care of and pushed to the administration where they can find out what is necessary and what is needed for further action.
Thank you. Samuel, you have 1 minute to respond. Your time starts now.
I don't think I have any questions as of now. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicholas, you have 1 minute to respond. Your time starts now.
I don't have any further comments.
Wonderful. Do either of you have any closing arguments?
No, ma'am.
No.
Okay, thank you so much. So now our third question, Nicholas, you have the opportunity to respond first. What financial policies or reforms do you plan to introduce to improve budget management? You have 2 minutes to respond. Your time starts now.
Perfect. As I mentioned earlier, a raise in our SAF funds is absolutely something that I'd push for. And that's something that needs to come gradually over time to be able to take care of our further and growing budget concerns. While the surplus, as I mentioned, exists, we do need to foolproof the future. And being able to take care of that is something that's at the top of my docket. On top of that, push money towards our RSOs. Our RSOs are inevitably the backbone of what brings students to campus and to each other. While we have these fantastic third spaces that I think are plenty open and available to students, the availability to get people to those spaces with people who they know and they feel comfortable with is a prime concern. And with that, I think pushing money to these RSOs where they're able to hold more events, more things, and bring people to campus in that general manner, especially with us being a large community campus, is paramount. My last initiative on this would be to trim the fat of the budget, as I mentioned earlier. While there are plenty of things in the budget that are very useful and very necessary on this campus, there are, of course, ways to improve. While we have, initiatives that are being underprivileged and underused, I think, reassessing where our priorities stay with our students, whether that be further education, job preparation, or things on campus, just a general look at the budget and a malleability of the variables is something that I think is necessary.
Thank you. Samuel, you have the opportunity to respond. What financial policies or reforms do you plan to introduce to improve budget management? You have 2 minutes to respond. Your time starts now.
Yeah, so as a data-driven institution and department, the current ASUWT team has worked on very great initiatives. For example, the campus task forces, the inclusive access task forces, and in addition as well with the food equity and basic needs task forces. And running under this team, continuing that work and continuing to support students with the information that we currently have and using that for longevity measures and for initiatives that students might want to need as well is also critical with ensuring that you don't just do this outside and sort of work outside of the team, but also internally as well to be able to know where we're at, how we're spending, and how we can improve that as well. So the biggest financial policy that I plan to introduce to improve budget management is a financial health tracker. This tracker is going to look at current and previous spending. This will establish trends in our spending and justify our requests and ensure that we retain and secure consistent funding through the SAFC for both the following year and throughout the special allocation seasons that there are. This tracker will also be great in helping us understand and forecast future initiatives, its feasibility, its plans, and ensure that your student dollars are accounted for and that these spending measures can be published and available in an accessible format.
Thank you. Nicholas, you have 1 minute to respond. Your time starts now.
Absolutely. I think Sam and I had very similar ideas on that. I think the general health of our education and of our university is paramount to both of us. I think on top of that, something that I also want to mention is I want to also push ways to find more students jobs on campus. Bringing students to campus, especially in paid opportunities, in part-time roles where they're able to work for, hours at a time and being able to be on campus brings more people to campus. And I think that goes hand in hand with both of our overarching goals.
Samuel, you have 1 minute to respond. Your time starts now.
Yeah, definitely. I would be a little bit interested in hearing sort of what kind of partnerships do you have or what kind of ways have you established previously beforehand in ensuring that these student positions and that these activities can be implemented and in process.
Nicholas, you have 30 seconds for closing arguments. Your time starts now.
Yeah, I think for me, that would be a large change from some positions that are full-time and moving those to part-time, being able to diversify our assets and bring as many people on board with as many different ideas as possible, and still giving everybody an equal opportunity to gain money from the university, pay for their education, on top of any other ways of having to go out and seek further jobs.
Samuel, you have 30 seconds for closing arguments. Your time starts now.
I have no additional comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Samuel, you have the opportunity to respond to our fourth question first. How do you plan to balance your time between your responsibilities in tracking and reporting expenditures and sitting on various committees related to university finances with your student responsibilities? You have 2 minutes to respond. Your time starts now.
Yeah, so balancing time has been an essential need for my current engagement that I currently have on campus. So with my involvement being over several committees, several positions, and student activities, I've established a prioritization strategy to ensure all my non-negotiables are met. For example, I create a list of items that I need to get done for the next 2 weeks, so I can shift my focus instead of what I have to do to what I am doing at that current time. With these strategies, I have been able to sit in during Council for Campus Engagement meetings, establish meeting agendas for the SAFC committee, continue to plan for our upcoming block party on May 15th, quick shout out, and to ensure that my coursework and schoolwork is met. As a committed student with the privilege to primarily focus on my studies and work, thanks to the help of securing several scholarships and additional funding sources, I've allocated my additional time to increasing my institutional awareness and knowledge, helping me establish relationships, secure opportunities, and continue my student representation and advocacy. And with sort of this in mind, these are some of the ways in which I plan to ensure that I can balance those needs of both recording and tracking expenditures and being and sitting in different committees itself, because I'm already doing that, so yeah.
Thank you. Nicholas, you have the opportunity to respond. How do you plan to balance your time between responsibilities in tracking and reporting expenditures and sitting on various committees related to university finances with your student responsibilities? You have 2 minutes to respond. Your time starts now.
Yeah, I think this is something that I've been generally well equipped for and something that I've worked at over the past year. I work 2 jobs currently. I work for a CPA firm out in Gig Harbor as well as some part-time CFO work. So absolutely working hard and being able to track these kind of accounting expenditures and just general business expenditures is something that comes very naturally to me. On top of that, this is a paid role. It's a job at the end of the day. And being able to, have your priorities when you are also paying for school and also getting paid for this job is paramount. Similar to what Sam was saying, I think that there needs to be a future goal, right? At the end of the day, you just need to have your guidelines that are set for the future. And each quarter, you need to make sure that you're accountable for how far are you progressing in each one of those guidelines to meet your deadlines at the end of the year. Not everything will be done in 3 months. Some things take years, months, days, hours, and so on from that. On top of that, automation is key. In this current world, there is plenty of automated solutions to be had, whether that be helping our expenditures be pushed through third-party websites, whether that be just automizing in general. I think that general push is something that our role specifically can be easily pushed to and help both of our roles as well as the rest of the ASUWT.
Thank you. Samuel, you have 1 minute to respond. Your time starts now.
I have no additional comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicholas, you have 1 minute to respond. Your time starts now.
I have nothing else.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Now, our fifth and final question prepared by the Elections Administration Committee. This one is Nicholas has the opportunity to respond first. What are your top 3 priorities for improving financial management within ASUWT? You have 2 minutes to respond. Your time starts now.
Perfect. My first goal will be checks and balances. At the end of the day, while Sam and I will be, either one of us will be in charge of taking care of the finances of this university, somebody still has to look over our shoulder and make sure that we're doing it right. And whether that be correct, whether that be fair and equitable, regardless, there still needs to be people watching in. My second thing is just the general publication of our financial statements. This needs to be pushed out to each one of our students, whether that be quarterly, yearly emails, through our UW, through my UW, however it gets pushed out, being able to notify them of when our meetings are coming up so they are able to not only push out their own voices, but then also being able to give us further ideas to expand our own ideas on top of that, being able to make this university a better place. My last one is budget reporting to the ASUWT board and the university admin. That's a key role in our job, and I think it's something that needs to be harped on a lot more, something where we are understanding of what is happening in our university, and the admin are also equally as understanding of that. Knowing where we stand, knowing what our budgets look like for this upcoming quarter, for this upcoming year, and for this upcoming future that we have.
Thank you. Samuel, you have the opportunity to respond. What are your top 3 priorities for improving financial management within ASUWT? You have 2 minutes to respond. Your time starts now.
Yeah, so in summary, my top 3 priorities for improving financial management within ASUWT is to partner, analyze, and interpret. And so my first and top priority for improving financial management within ASUWT is partnerships. Partnerships is crucial and comes in hand with financial management. So as the current RSO coordinator for events and projects, most of the event ideas and projects we have in plan for Block Party was subsidized thanks to the help from the Campus Event Fund, the Student Activities Board crew, CSI resources, and YMCA support. Based on our strong collaborations with RSOs and with campus departments, we established a record number of registrations for student involvement for the 2025 Winter Involvement Fair. My second priority is for improving financial management within ASUWT is to analyze. Too often, I have seen many systems that collect information or track data, but often lack interpretation and measures for further action. As mentioned earlier, I plan to establish a financial health tracker for detailing current expenditures, spending rates, and recommendations for remaining fiscally solvent and fiscally responsible. My third priority for improving financial management within ASUWT is to interpret. As mentioned earlier, some of my financial policies upon implementation are tracking ideas and may not have the information needed for utilizing the full capacity of ideas. This means that over time, as we start to implement these, and if selected as a candidate, then over time, these will be able to be helpful for future student government leaders and members, and for the public as well, for continuing to ensure that we remain fiscally transparent and also fiscally responsible. And also as well for, once again, these are services and activities fees funds that are paid and allocated by the students themselves. So it is important that they are able to see this, to see our spending, and to be able to see how we plan to continue with our spending itself.
Thank you. Nicholas, you have 1 minute to respond. Your time starts now.
I have no additional comments.
Thank you. Samuel, you have 1 minute to respond. Your time starts now.
I also have no additional comment. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Those were all the questions prepared by the Elections Administration Committee. We will now open it up to questions from the audience. If you have written any questions down on the notepad and piece of paper, please hand them to our timekeepers seated at the front, or myself here at the podium, and I will read them for you. Otherwise, please feel free to step up to the mic. You'll have to hold the mic bottom a few seconds to turn it on. There should be a light flashing, and you can speak into the mic and ask your question there. So I invite anyone to step up to the mic and ask your question. Thank you.
This is question to Mr. Duncan. You mentioned making more jobs on campus for students. How are you going to do that? How are you going to do that while also ensuring that they get paid, they get stipends for those positions? Right now, the ASUWT committee is cutting student wages in the pantry by 20%, and I'm sure other departments as well. So that is taking away $2 from their current pays, which is already not enough. So how are you going to ensure that they get paid for it? Because students won't. There's a lot of volunteer opportunities here. I'm sure we don't need more of those. But how are you going to ensure that they get paid for that? Sam, you can answer that too if you want, but that's a question for you.
Nicholas, you have 2 minutes to respond. Your time starts now.
Yeah, I think a lot of that focuses on finding the other places where the money is not being utilized correctly or to its full potential, right? I think the best way that our campus can give back to its students at the end of the day is making sure that they come out of school in the best financial position and the best educational position possible. And the financial side of that, being able to take away from things that are just not being used by students or being used by a very small majority of minority at that point of students, is something that I think is very paramount to this.
Taken away from what exactly? Taking away money from which positions exactly that are not being used by students?
Not necessarily positions, but just general like funds, right? Giving Guarding, for example, has a full-time employee. Being able to diversify that to multiple people and be able to share that is, I think, paramount.
Okay. I'm not debating here, I promise. Today's not my debate day. But Giving Garden is being used. The vegetables that Giving Garden produces goes to the pantry, which then gets utilized, and it also goes to other food trucks, I'm sure. So I believe that that full-time position is necessary for the Giving Garden, as we do a lot of events with Giving Garden, and that Giving Garden provides a lot of volunteer opportunities to students. Is there anything else?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I don't think the Giving Garden should be cut, but I think that the full-time position can be changed and used in different ways. We're able to benefit more than just one person. We're able to benefit multiple people.
Thank you. Samuel, you also have the opportunity to respond to that question. You will have 2 minutes to respond. Your time starts now.
Yeah, so primarily to address the first question regarding the budget cuts themselves itself, sort of one of the biggest priorities that the Services and Activities Fee Committee looked at was seeing where our current spending was at, seeing what our requests were at, and seeing how much we were allocating. So actually, historically, one of the biggest things that we've had within the committee itself is that our allocations, because after post-pandemic, we've had to ensure that we allocate amounts that can continue to operations itself in comparison to revenues. So as enrollment was falling down, we had to ensure that we remained consistent with the programs and activities that there were during the time. However, the issue that's been happening recently is with all of the stuff that's been going on at the state and at the federal level as well, the number that we allocated for this year is, I believe, around 2.8 million, and the revenues that we're projected to get for this year are around 2.2 million. So one of the biggest issues is that big deficit of $600,000 of additional allocations that we've had, and with everything that's going on, there was strong recommendations of ensuring that we close that to ensure that we can allow for future student programming, future student activities, in addition with the campus master plan that shows that there are those plans and goals of establishing those residence halls and establishing or potentially even within some of the talks that I mentioned earlier about that memorandum of understanding for the student union building or student union dedicated space, an actual student union dedicated space. So that is one of the biggest reasons, in addition as well as some of those factors of being able to be realistic in how we're spending what we're spending, and ensuring that when we are spending that, we create a realistic image of how we are operating and how we can continue to establish services and activities for the future years and for future students themselves.
Thank you. I will now open it up to any other questions from the audience. Please feel free to step up to the mic.
Hello. Awesome. So student publications are a central piece of the collegiate experience. They often ground students on campus, they increase engagement, and at times they're pivotal in social change across college campuses. University of Tacoma has two, the Ledger, the newspaper, and Tacoma West, the arts journal. These are student-funded publications. How will you ensure that these survive into the coming years?
Since this question is referring to both candidates, Samuel will have the opportunity to respond first. You have 2 minutes to respond. Your time starts now.
Yeah, so thank you for mentioning that, and thank you for bringing that up into awareness. So one of the biggest things when we were making these decisions, these were difficult decisions. These were decisions that we were looking continuously, and from what the committee itself decided, what we should continue to fund moving forward and what we should continue to reduce to ensure that we can be as close as we can to the fee revenues versus what we are allocating. So in that process in and of itself, when we were doing that and when we were establishing that, we also kept in consideration of potential alternatives. And within these reductions for departments themselves, one of the biggest things that we wanted to keep in mind is find ways to ensure that they have an amount to continue to start off, and that they also, this is not the only amount that they get. They have the special allocation season during fall, and they also have one during the spring quarter as well to request additional funding. However, we had to make sure the biggest thing was to ensure that we were as close as possible according to our committee's norms and values of ensuring that we don't allocate too much money in excess to what is sustainable long-term. And so in terms of being able to, how it can survive and how it can continue to thrive, we have seen that despite anything that has come our way at UW Tacoma, we've been resilient. We've moved forward, we've worked forward, and we've pushed forward. And one of the biggest things that came into consideration from the committee as well was finding ways of advertising, because advertising brings in revenues, and being able to increase the collaborations that there are within the different departments, just because this is a very tough year. This was a very tough committee decision that we had to make, and we had to make sure that the committee, from what we were thinking was the right thing to do, was in order to allow for long-term and sustainable programming and activities.
Thank you. Nicholas, you also have the opportunity to respond. You have 2 minutes to respond. Your time starts now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think both of these fall under things that are for professional development at the end of the day, right? A lot of these provide opportunities to students to put their artwork out there, whether that be through Tacoma West or their journalism through the Ledger. I myself last year was published in Tacoma West, and so that is a very soft spot for me. And I think that's something that needs to continue, right? Whether that be through non-arts students like myself or arts majors in any capacity. Similar, the Ledger is absolutely something that needs to continue. And, you know, this is more, at the end of the day, I think the mindset needs to be shifted from this is just a publication that's going out to our students to that this is real world experience at the end of the day for our students that they can put on their resume that can help them advance them in the future once they eventually graduate.
Thank you.
Thank you all for asking questions. We still have time for more questions from the audience. If anybody has any, please feel free to step up to the mic, or if you have any that you'd like to write down and I can refer them to the candidates, please let me know.
This is a very generic question. Why are you guys running?
Each of you have 2 minutes to respond. Since Samuel answered first last time, Nicholas has the opportunity to respond. You have 2 minutes. Your time starts now. Nicholas, yes.
No, absolutely. I think a lot of my wanting to run came from my freshman year. I lived in the dorms, and so I was on campus a significantly larger portion than a lot of people are. And as numbers have continued to come back since my first year, the campus engagement necessarily hasn't. And so I want to be able to make an impact in ways that I think I'm best fitted, which that being, helping the financial state of our university and being able to push students in the right direction. And whether that be if they want professional advice, whether that be if they want social furthering, and being able to just bring us together as a community.
Thank you. Samuel, you have the opportunity to respond. You have 2 minutes. Your time starts now.
Yeah, so if I remember correctly, I forgot, it was during one of the previous debates, I think it was Ray who mentioned that or no, it wasn't Ray, it was Matt from the Director of Outreach debate mentioning that they didn't know that they wanted to be in student leadership or scratch that. I am completely lying, just kidding. All right, so, but I remember hearing that this was something that they didn't necessarily knew that they wanted to do, and that was the same case for me when I first started at Pierce College. That was the monumental transformation that encouraged me, wanted me to continue to work, but in the long term, in the public sector, hopefully in higher education or in the federal government itself. And so one of the biggest things that the reasons why I want to continue to support students and advocate for students is because of that impact that has provided for me. I have been able to, when I first started in student leadership, even before I started there, I was going in to see my advisor and I was asking them for where a room that I was already in was. I was like, do you know where the student success room is? And then they were like, yeah, it's here. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But, but being able to go from there, sharing my goals that I want to do as I continue in my academic journey, my professional journey, they encouraged me to sign up for student leadership, and I did. And by being able to do that, I've connected with great mentors, with great partners, and I've secured multiple scholarships during my time there. I was able to be empowered to share my background, to share where I come from, and to not be scared, because I know that the impact that I can do and the support that I can do with the opportunities that I've secured are the reason why I want to continue to do this, because I know how helpful it has been for individuals. And I want to continue to ensure that they can secure those opportunities as well as I did. And so that is why I'm committed to continuing in student government and in public service and helping in any way, even if that means that maybe if I'm not elected here, I still want to continue to support the campus. I still want to continue to support those opportunities and to support and empower them.
Thank you so much. Does anyone else have any questions in the audience? If there are none, let's give a round of applause to our Director of Finance candidates. And now we'll go ahead and start our Director of Student Technology open forum here in 1 minute. We'll get settled in. Thank you so much. Please feel free to grab food in the back, drinks, and we'll start here shortly. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for coming. I'll now have the pleasure of introducing our Director of Student Technology for our open forum today. Our Director of Student Technology candidate is Amanda Wartek. Amanda had filed before the filing deadline and will be officially ballot listed on the ballot during voting next week. So now for our format for today's open forum. The candidate will have 1 minute for their opening statement, and then we'll have 2 minutes to answer each question. Afterwards, there will be time for questions from the audience for 5 minutes. During this time, throughout the open forum, please feel free to write down questions on the piece of paper and with the pens provided to you, or at the end, please feel free to stand up to the mic and ask your questions. If you do have to leave but would like a question asked during the open forum, please feel free to write them down and give them to me. I will ask them to the candidate, and this open forum is live streamed and will be recorded on YouTube. So now I'll go ahead and ask our candidate for their 1-minute opening statement and their introduction. You have 1 minute. Your time starts now.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Amanda Wartick. I am an IT major here at UW-Tacoma, specializing in cybersecurity and minoring in data analytics. I am also currently serving as the vice chair for the Student Technology Fee Committee, and I'm running to be the director of Student Technology Fee next year. Prior to coming back to school for my degree, I spent over 10 years managing technology budgets in the tech industry. And from that experience, I learned how crucial it is to be strategic with your investments. I've also, I've also seen how powerful technology is in being able to change how we learn, our creativity, and the way communities improve their well-being. So I'm excited to be part of that work here on campus as well.
Thank you. We'll now go over the rules for the rest of the open forum. The candidate responses are limited to specific time limits, and candidates have been provided with these limits while preparing for the debate. The timekeeper will alert candidates when they have 30 seconds remaining. The candidate should adhere to all time guidance, and should they exceed their time, the moderator will ask them to finish their thought. The candidate should abide by all policies and procedures laid out in the elections packet provided to them. And the candidate may use technology during the debate. They are able to take notes. Oh, this is for the debate. And then candidates may not interrupt one another. Thankfully, there's only one candidate. And then the candidate may be asked to respond to the question if it's not answered directly. So now to the questions prepared by the Elections Administration Committee. The first question the Elections Administration Committee has for the Director of Student Technology candidate is, what are your top 3 priorities for improving equitable student access to technology on campus? You have 2 minutes to respond. Your time starts now.
There are 3 things we absolutely have to do in order to ensure that we're successful. And the first one, based on experience of seeing how technology was used this year, is to increase awareness. Most of the students I've talked to who are paying the student technology fees are not aware of the resources that they're paying for throughout campus. And it's not due to lack of trying. Budget requesters, literally there are signs everywhere. There are flyers, there are posters, there's advertisements sharing information about these resources, but it's clearly not working for students. We have to make sure that we are providing advertisements to these resources in a way that students will access them, because if they aren't using the resources that are there, it can't help them. The second strategy I have for this year or for next year is to ensure that we are gathering good data to help make data-informed decisions. A lot of the data for this year's committee was anecdotal, word of mouth, which is powerful storytelling and great for making decisions. However, it does not allow us to see our growth over the years. We can't measure success from anecdotal data, so we need to gather more quantitative data. And finally, another key important part of the committee's existence is to ensure we're spending the money in a very principled way, in that every cent that we're spending of the students' fees is going back towards student empowerment.
Thank you. The second question the Elections Administration Committee has prepared for you is, in what ways do you intend to introduce innovation within your role, even in areas that may not be fully detailed in your job description? You have 2 minutes to respond to this question. Your time starts now.
I think there are 2 new approaches I'd like to introduce to the committee that we haven't done in the past. I've heard other candidates mention this as well, but the first one is really working more closely with the RSOs. So from my experience in product marketing, when you meet the demands and the needs and expectations of your most enthusiastic customers, you gain new users just from meeting with their needs. So I want to make sure the RSOs, who are the power users of campus resources, have what they need on campus to be successful. And I thoroughly believe that once we're getting their feedback and we're taking action on it and we're inspired by the technology they require, that it will also bring in new users on campus resources. And secondly, I want to partner with the broader ASUWT to make sure we have a very thoughtful approach to surveying students. My worst fear as a former marketer is survey fatigue, where we just become noise in the background. Nobody wants to provide feedback because they don't know they're being asked for it, or they're not sure what the utility of their feedback is. So I want to make sure, because all of ASUWT needs data in order to improve all of their efforts. So I want to make sure that we have an approach to ask students for feedback, show them what we've done with that feedback so that in the future we can continue to get feedback from students.
Thank you. The third question we have prepared for you is, how will you advocate for student technology needs when working with university IT services? You have 2 minutes to respond. Your time starts now.
Student IT services is just one of the many budget requesters for STF. We also, and among all the budget requesters, they have something very interesting in common, is that they're all very knowledgeable and passionate advocates for student technology. It doesn't feel like we're fighting to make sure they're using the budget correctly. For me to do my job correctly and to ensure that we're advocating for students with IT services and other budget requesters, I just need to make sure those lines of communication are open and that we're using them. I'll give you some examples. IT services gets to talk to students when they're in most need of technology. Your computer's broken down, you need a loaner laptop, you're not sure how to use your operating system, something's not working, you're talking to IT services. And then we have the makerspace. You're inspired, you're getting new ideas. Makerspace gets to see what those are. And then, of course, CSI students want to be involved and engaged. The needs for technology there we get to hear about. And there are so many others. There's career services, there's First Gen, there's so many other requesters out there that in the past, communication has not been open among them and among the committee. It's been, you submit your request, we review it, you move on. But this year we saw something really magical happen when each committee member got to speak with all the budget requesters and open those lines up. So I want to strengthen that, have us talking to each other, planning and strategizing how we can meet the needs of students, not independently, but as a group.
Thank you. The fourth question prepared for you is, how will you ensure that students have a voice in technology-related decisions at UW-Tacoma? You have 2 minutes to respond. Your time starts now.
I am very passionate about access to technology in and out of school, and I'm also passionate about student advocacy and involvement. And while I know that in the rooms I'm in, I'll be able to talk about these things, I've also talked to other students, and I'm not the only person passionate about this. I'm pretty sure everybody in this room currently in here is passionate about this as well. And I think the best thing I can do to ensure that our voices are louder is to create safe environments where people can exercise that voice and to learn how to do that for their communities. And one thing I think that's really interesting is that the Student Technology Fee Committee is a committee of students. Essentially, we represent the campus, but I want to make sure we're doing a better job of that. So we're about to open up recruitment for next year's committee. I want to make sure that people in that committee are reflective of our campus. We have people from different majors, different professional backgrounds, different life experiences. And that way, when we have an environment where they're practicing their voices there, they can advocate for their committees even when I'm not in the room.
Thank you. The final question the Elections Administration Committee has prepared for you is, how do you plan to balance your time between your responsibilities as a chair of a committee advocating for student technology needs and your student responsibilities? You have 2 minutes to respond. Your time starts now.
The Student Technology Fee Committee has been an incredible experience for me this year. As an IT student, I get to learn about the theoretical uses for technology. You get to learn about here's how it should work or could work, and we get to do labs and exercises in very safe, almost clinical environments where everything kind of works as it should. But what I love about the Student Technology Fee is you get to talk to people who are administrating technology to users, and you get to see how things break down, how hardware actually works, all of these real world scenarios that you don't get from learning in the classroom. And so selfishly, continuing this experience in the technology fee is not necessarily stretching myself thin. I actually see it as diving deeper into things I'm really passionate and excited about, and gives me a well-rounded experience that will do really well for me in a professional experience as well.
Thank you. Those are all the questions the Elections Administration Committee had prepared for the candidate. And now we will open up to questions from the audience. If any audience members have any questions written down or would like to step up to the mic, we'll have the opportunity to do that now.
Hello, hello. So I want to first off say thank you for running for this position, and thank you for your engagement and the collaboration you've had within the SAFC. I was wondering, kind of like the question they've asked other individuals themselves. So what brings you into ASUWT and why student government?
Yeah, so I stumbled into ASUW, or not just ASUWT, but the SCFC committee. It happened to be a posting on Handshake, just as I happened to be setting up my profile on Handshake. So that was it felt kind of meant to be in that sense. I didn't anticipate, when I came back to school, I didn't anticipate being involved in any way whatsoever. I thought I'd be another commuter student. I would come in, do my assignments, go back home, not get too involved. But I think I saw UW-T specifically it feels smaller, the community's stronger. It feels like the students run the school in many ways. And I really loved that feeling. And I thought, I have so much professional experience, and there's a lot I could give to students as I work with them. And I got to see that come to life. And I can't really do that if I'm not there. So being involved in this is my way of being present and being in a place where people can seek me out, and I can provide my experience to them as well. I'm also getting a lot, not just professionally, I'm getting a lot of mentorship from students, seeing how, where the time I'm an older student, how I grew up and how I went to school is very different than what it looks like today. And I think it's really important that we get the experience to see how that experience is evolving for everybody else today too.
Thank you. We have time for more questions from the audience. If any audience members have any, please feel free to step up to the mic or write them down on the pen and paper provided, and I can state your questions.
I'm relatively new to this campus. This is my first year on campus. What sort of cool IT help or technology resources do students have available right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I first joined, I didn't know what they all were. I actually learned based on need. I'm like, where do I print anything? And everywhere I look, I can print something. I can bring my own paper, or I can go downstairs. But I think that's the one resource that everybody kind of stumbles into at first, the DIY printing, essentially. But there's so much more. If you need a laptop, let's say I'm a Mac user, and sometimes some of the labs I do for school, like networking labs, I need a PC. So I can go down to the IT help desk, check out a PC laptop. Makerspace has a lot of incredible creative tools, whether it's 3D printing, poster printing for home, things that don't necessarily have to do with school, but you can do at the Makerspace. There's so many resources when it comes to helping you at your career. If you want to learn how to use technology, IT Help Desk is there for you. I'm sure there's many more I'm missing out on, but a lot of the student technology fees goes towards these resources, but it goes beyond that too. I don't think a lot of people know the student technology fee pays for the employees at the IT Help Desk. So it is a big fund to help with student experiences on campus. It also pays for, again, all the paper and all the printer, a significant amount of money, which surprises me every time. All the wayfinding televisions that you see on campus to show you what's coming up and what's new. There's just so many things that add to the experience of students on campus that student technology fees pay for that you just don't see. They're invisible.
Thank you. There is still time for more questions from the audience, if there are any. If there are none, let's give a round of applause to our Director of Student Technology candidate. And thank you so much, all of you, for attending. You all make these events worthwhile. The voting week is next week from April 21st through April 25th, so please encourage your fellow students to vote. We have a tri-campus voter turnout competition going on next week and then until May, when UW-Bothel's election is. So please encourage your fellow UW-Tacoma students to vote. Will UW-Tacoma win? Will UW-Seattle? Will UW-Bothell win percentage-wise on their voting turnout? Let's find out. And finally, our last event put on by the Elections Administration Committee, Rock the Vote, which is hosted next week on Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025 on Prairie Line Trail from 11:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Please encourage your fellow students to attend. We'll have a live DJ, free food. The candidates will be present so you can speak to them, and the first 150 students will get free shirts. So please come out and attend, and thank you so much again for coming to today's event. This concludes our event.